In Portugal, there's a YouTube show full of fun facts you need to know. Carl rings the bell and the members show to the GMP morning show. Featured guests will come and they will blow your mind. The audience will do so in kind. The little vanity mixed with some insanity on the morning show with GMP.
Good morning, Portugal, and I'd like to welcome you to another fantastic day.
Hey, Gumpers.
Hola, bon dia, alegria. Munson here with the Good Morning Portugal show, live stream and podcast. How the hell are you this morning? How the heaven are you this morning? Hope you're doing well. Let us know what happened over the weekend on 913-590-303 if you have sticks of rhubarb. If you have pictures and videos to send, please send them over as Pam did. I've got a really nice little clip of the Vuelta coming through Alcobaça. I think it's fair to say the big Iberian tour did cause a bit of a stir, especially when you didn't know it was happening and you wanted to go home and the street was closed and you couldn't get home until several hundred bicycles had gone full pelt down the end of your street. So let's have a look at that now whilst I try and get my act together this morning. I had a little bit of a fall yesterday. I don't think it's affecting me. I don't think I've got any concussion, but you might see above my right eye. It's not that impressive, really, but there's a little bit of evidence of where the laundry bin hit my face, or as I fell into it. I can explain, but that was later on in the day after I'd fallen into a plant pot. It was quite a busy day. I mean, it's true. The most dangerous place is the kitchen, I think, followed by the garden, and I had a little tumble in both yesterday. Okay, let's at least I wasn't on a bicycle yesterday, because goodness only knows what might have happened if I was with this lot. Isn't that amazing? Absolutely incredible. Thank you, Pam, for that. That's coming through Alcobaça there. They went through Caldas de Rainha yesterday, and the logistics that must be required to help those folks just drive or cycle at tremendous speeds through the towns across Portugal. I think they started out their day in Lisbon yesterday, didn't they, and headed towards the Silver Coast yesterday. So amazing. The Vuelta there. It's like, I think it's the Spanish tour. It's the Spanish Tour de France, if you see what I mean. I think that's correct. I'm sure people who know more about such things will be able to tell me. Let's not keep him waiting. Let's get him onto the screen. See if he's brought any arnica with him for the swelling around my eye this morning. But we can't bring him on until we've heard his music. Here it is. James joining us after this. Take a bow. Here he is. How are you? No, careful. Don't bang your head on anything doing that. It's not that impressive, is it? But it's there's something there.
Yeah, I bet that hurt.
It did, actually. I shouted out quite loud. Early, the first fall of yesterday was quite the comedy effort. I was pulling some ivy off a wall. And it freed itself a little too easily, or a little more readily than I thought it was going to. And I fell backwards. And there's a potted physalis plant, which I crushed, unfortunately. But I fell right into it. I fell right into the plant pot. And I thought to myself, if anyone's watching, this is hilarious. So I did have a little chuckle myself. It wasn't as funny when I fell later on in the day into the laundry basket. I was scooping some dog food out of the dog food receptacle, put my hand on the laundry basket to steady myself, and the top of the laundry basket gave way. My hand went in, I went after it, but my face hit the side of the laundry basket, and then my shin hit something else.
Hey.
So I was shouting when that happened. It wasn't so as funny as the first incident of the day.
Yeah, so your fall came a little early.
Oh, very good. Very, very good. And I fell over twice just so that James could do that this morning. How are you? How are you today?
We discussed it all weekend.
What can we get up to on Monday morning? I know.
Well, you need to fall and have evidence of it so that I can make that joke. Yes.
The efforts we go to, James, it's incredible, isn't it? How are you?
I'm fantastic, thank you.
Excellent. What have you been up to?
Fantastico. See.
Yeah.
What have I been up to? Well, mostly lately, my up-to-ness has something to do with an old guy in Europe.
Oh yeah, of course. And it was lovely. I watched the Fridays, and it was Jenny B. Remember her?
I do.
About her.
And I did in the episode.
Yeah, that's what prompted me. Because there are so many things we've done and talked about, people we know, people who've come and people who've gone. It's quite amazing, isn't it, when you stop to look back as you're doing?
Yes, it's evolving, and I'm trying to mix it up. So what I was doing at the end of last week, the second part of my original concept, which was a walk through Ericeira, that didn't work due to technical difficulties and me not being familiar enough with the video functions on my phone. That the second half of it, I was actually taking photos when I was walking and talking to nothing when I thought I was videotaping. So I had an hour of visuals that just didn't exist except in my mind.
Yeah.
So that said, all right, I'm done. It was hot and I had worked up a sweat by then. I said, I'll get this another day. And then I realized, it's already the high season. So it's very difficult to avoid just people coming. And as you're trying to film, your little walk, there's just people everywhere, and you can see they get self-conscious. So I'm trying to dodge them. Anyway, I realized this was not just the smack dab middle of the high season, but it was also a holiday weekend. And I couldn't find a day that wasn't just cloudy, foggy, rainy, whatever, until I think Thursday, which was the holiday. I said, well, I'll go Friday, which is setting up the weekend, but I'll go early. And then there were some issues with getting on a bus on time. I mean, I got there on time, but the buses still sometimes fool me. So it took me probably, getting familiar with the local, I can get from my house to the Ericeira terminal easily. I know, well, I shouldn't say easily, but as long as I can find a schedule that's accurate. I'm using an app that is, again, mostly accurate, which leaves just a little room for occasionally not quite working the way it's supposed to. But the circular buses and the local buses that go into the villa, I still haven't worked out who goes where when. And so I got on a bus that said, it said Ribeira d'Ilhas, but I knew that bus goes down toward the villa. The problem is it was going too far, so I got off and couldn't get to the villa from where I was by the time I had it figured out. So waited for it to come back and got back on it, but it was going back to the bus terminal. And I figured, okay, well, it's a loop, so I'll just stay on and go into the route. Well, it is a loop, but it comes back from Ribeira d'Ilhas. Then it goes to Foz do Lisandro, which is at the very southern end of Ericeira. So it goes.
And a very nice place. Colin took me there. It's great.
Yes.
Fortaleza is a great little place, isn't it?
Yeah. So the bus goes all the way to the farthest northern point of the Ericeira Villa in São Sebastião, then comes back to the terminal, then goes to the farthest south point.
Okay. So eventually you're okay.
And then back to the terminal again. Third time's a charm.
Yes.
And if it finally managed to get on the bus, it took me there. So I was probably, part of my intention was to go early enough that the crowds hadn't formed yet. I figure if I get there by 9:30, maybe there won't be that many people out. And I actually found a couple live webcams of the beaches, so I could actually see what's going on at the beach right now from my computer at home, which is very nice. And I can see the weather and all that at the beach. But by the time I got there, it was after 10 and it was already starting to get busy. It's like, okay, well, and I was trying to go early enough that it wouldn't be as hot as it was the last time. And so I was basically right back on the exact same schedule. So it's been quite an adventure getting that second part done, which is the second half of the walk I initially intended from the Praia dos Pescadores, which is the sort of central beach.
Very nice.
North to São Sebastião. And anyway, I finally got it done, and it was incredibly windy, and this is my equipment, this is my mic, this is it. So the wind's blowing and I'm talking, and then when I'm editing, it's like I can't hear any of the words, which weren't all that important. I was just trying to make comments about what we're looking at. So it's like my voice is way down here in the wind.
Yeah. Hi, I'm James, and I'm an old man.
With a little, it's like, what's he saying? You can hear my voice. Yes. What's he saying? I can't hear him.
You might have to overdub that post-production.
Well, overdub, or I don't even know how to do that yet. But I worked it out. I split the clips and faded from talking that I thought was important to wind. I faded the wind out, and then I brought myself back up if I was talking again.
Doesn't like to fade the wind out first thing in the morning. Very good.
Anyway, It was quite the adventure. It took me another 3 hours by the time I had worked it all out. And it's literally a 10-minute walk, you know. So
and then the editing job after that, my goodness.
Yeah. And the editing, mostly because of the wind, and I don't know how to put graphics on top of video yet. So I have to put my finger out and point at things.
What a learning curve
like,
you're going
my
through.
hat is there, you know, that kind of thing.
Yes.
And then realize when I saw it on the actual video that what you think you're pointing at is not really what you're pointing at, so that your finger is off the target. So I just had some fun with it, with my over edits, what I do know how to do. Just made jokes about where my finger was. Did what I could. So it should be fun and it should be interesting, but it was definitely, this is the nature of my video making right now. As I become more and more familiar, it will become
the learning curve,
more
the adventure. Yes, well done. Well done. Brilliant.
Learning the technology. Yes. So I want anyone who watches these to keep in mind, this is what I go through each and every time.
Yeah.
It's not just, oh, nice walk, great video, just throw it on there and let it run.
It's never like that. You don't just rock up and press go live, do you? The lazy way of doing it. You put some production into it. So amazing. We look forward to that. The next one will be released this coming Friday, of course.
Friday, and that will be this particular one I've been talking about. So it'll be part two of my walk.
I am, having heard the director's cut now, I'm looking forward, or this is the making of. Having heard the making of, I'm looking forward to the finished.
Yeah, I'm thinking I should just keep some of the stuff that I clip out or the mistakes I make and make an outtakes.
Yes,
that one of my episodes is Old Guy in Europe outtakes. Oh, nice shot of the ground.
I'm James, and these are all the mistakes. Right, let's say a few hellos this morning. Bom dia, Gumpers, e bem-vindo a uma nova semana. We have an early start today as we're back in normal Monday mode, child wrangling, coffee first though, and very quiet about your birthday, Coach Turner. So We're going to be singing Parabéns a você because it's not only Coach Turner's birthday, it's Katia Lima's birthday and Maria Maliero, Vitor's wife as well. Vitor joining us at 9:30, of course, as well this morning on this Monday morning. I think it's the third. Is it the third Monday of the month? Anyway, yes, it is when Vitor joins us with his unique look at life, real estate, and Portugal and everything else. So we'll sing. We'll have a sing song later. I'll put the lyrics on the screen. I want you to join in at home. It's very important to learn happy birthday to you in Portuguese. God Squad tip of the day then. On your birthday, Coach Turner, let's see how we get on with this, how we rate today, James. Walking is the single most important exercise for us as we travel down the slippery slope.
I'm not sure we should be walking on a slippery slope.
Yeah, right. But how best to fit it in and make it a habit? Catch the bus? No. So this week, I want to explore that. What changes to our routines can we make to help us walk enough to improve our health?
I know. We just make mistakes and have to do it again and again and again.
There you go.
That's the equivalent of sets of exercise, right?
It is. Well done. So nice creative thinking. Straight on it, James. Those of us who still work are probably tied to a desk. Oh, I say. Or workstation. What sort of job's that where you're tied to a desk? Don't answer that. Or workstation for pretty much 8 hours a day. But being sat for that amount of time is not healthy. It's also unproductive. Yeah, bosses, take that. How about taking a short break every 45 minutes to an hour and walking for 5 minutes? After all, smokers used to be able to take a break several times a day. They did, didn't they? They really did. And go and stand by the fire exit and passive smoke each other.
It's actually labor law in California.
What, to be able to go and have a smoke?
No, you get a paid 10-minute break every 2 hours on a shift.
Honestly, you Californians.
It's required.
Yeah, you should be able to build up to a total of 30 minutes each day. So not only becoming healthier, but more alert and therefore productive too. Give it a try. And you, in the old days, you could get something out of your in tray, couldn't you, and walk it to another part of the building. I used to do all sorts of little schemes like that. I just need to pop up to accounts or down to whatever and cross to there. And yeah, you could spend most of your day away from your desk if you planned it right.
Especially just walking around.
Yeah. Bon dia, Gumbers. Oh, it's you.
Who's that?
That's you, that is. So happy birthday, Coach. Thank you very much for that. A very good idea. We'll be singing to you a little bit later on. Deagle's in, James. Bon dia, Carl and Gumpers from a dry warning for a heavy rain all week. We're already 104% of average rainfall for August. It's going well for the vegetables. So look at this that he scooped from his garden. He's got, it's not a big plot. It's really well done, Deagle, what you're able to bring from your garden there. And we enjoyed seeing pictures of it, of course, when we used to do the Happy Homesteaders Get Out and Grow, not Shower or Grower. That's a different program. But here we see your, what would you call it? His harvest. It's his harvest at this time of year, isn't it? Potatoes.
A wee harvest.
A wee harvest. No, he's Irish, not Scottish. 2 cabbages. Oh. A cucumber or courgette down there? Is that zucchini? Corn cob, rhubarb, leeks, I think, there as well. Good job. A couple of yellow red onions in there. Very good. Excellent stuff, Deagle. Congratulations.
Hey, I can say them all in Portuguese. Some of my first Portuguese vocabulary.
Okay, go on then.
Well, bottom left is either pepino or courgette, then batatas.
Yeah.
I don't think rhubarb. I know chard. I don't know chard, but
rhubarb. You know rhubarb.
Oh, rhubarb. Probably rhubarbu. Probably. I don't know that.
That's always a good guess.
Yes.
You're not allowed to go for cabbage.
Then we have no. Oh man, there's a couple. Corn. Yeah, milho. I can't even identify the long green things like what
that's
is.
Alho francés. A leek.
Oh, okay. I can't see that it's a leak.
No, it's not. Vitor's wagging his finger in the background there.
Yeah. It doesn't. I don't think so.
You're on the screen, Vitor. We can't see you, but you can coach us in Portuguese.
Then you have cova lombarda,
yes.
Which is the ball-shaped cabbage. I think that's a cebola roxa, or it's a nabu. Cebola. But the nabu is above that. And then
very good, James. Very, very good.
I think that's a big fat courgette at the top above the cova.
Yes, it may well be. It may well be. Courgette gordo.
Grande.
Grande. Yes. Okay. Very good. Well done, Digo. Excellent stuff. Good vocabulary there, James. Didn't plan that.
Obrigado.
Did you? You put on the spot there, and you rose to the occasion.
Well, I wouldn't have said it if I didn't think it was true. So
this isn't Portuguese, though, is it? This comment from Vitor that he's gone again. He'll be back later. But he said this. Is that what? I'm sure that's not what a leak is in Portuguese. I think
he's doing a lot of Chinese because he's learning that language.
That's Mandarin for leek, I expect. Okay, so where did we get to? Eagles vegetables, very impressive array, your harvest there. Sarah Yeoman, how's that trip to France going? Bon dia to you and the Yeoman family. Bon dia, Portugal, from João Ernesto. He may have sent me something. Yes, he did. Always wonderful video from John. Well, usually over the weekend. Pics and vid from ongoing Festus Indiana. This was from Friday's Desfile de Belos Trajes. We may well come back to that. Thank you very much, John. I got a mini harvest. There we go. Out of the office. He calls it the office, you see, on Sunday. 1 corn, 2 cabbage, potatoes, garlic, onions, scallions. They are the little spring onions, aren't they?
Peas. There they were.
Peas. What are peas? In ervas, aren't they?
Ervilhas.
Ervilhas, not ervas. That's herbs, isn't it? Yeah, ervilhas. Peas in a pod, a cucumber, pepino, courgette, and the Minister of Home Affairs was impressed by his big courgette. Very good, as it should be. And there are the lyrics. Make sure you've got those. I don't know if you're able to star those up from your end, but we're going to be singing to Maria, to Ian, and to Katia this morning. Few sticks of rhubarb as well. Made a nice dessert. What did you do? Loads of sugar? And then you made a rhubarb crumble, maybe. Oh, sounds fantastic. Hola, Bondi. Is the rhubarb a popular vegetable, a popular fruit in America? James, do you have rhubarb?
It's used. I don't know that it's popular. The only time I ever hear of it is in a pie.
Yeah,
so sweet and syrupy.
Interesting. Yeah, I've never heard of any other application. Yeah, rhubarb jam, maybe. Lord Travanca, all rise as well. I feel very close today, says Darren. Did you zoom in the camera? Yes, did a little bit, actually, so you could see my scar. However,
I thought he was talking emotionally.
Oh, okay, yes. Okay, Darren, if that's
we always feel close on this show.
Oh, bring it in, mate. Bring it in.
Come on.
My fall wouldn't have happened if I'd still had a beard. Or it might have been my face.
Wait a minute.
How the mighty fall, says Diego, and Pondia Alegria Campus. And the cycling. That's why it took us almost 2 hours to get home yesterday. Did you actually see the cyclist, T-Duck, as well? This is a terrible rumor. I resent this. I don't completely deny it, but I do resent it. That is what happens when you day drink.
Put ice in your drinks, man. It'll reduce the swelling.
Okay, thank you. I'll make a note of that. Excellent. Antonio with us. Bon dia, Torch. Morning to you as well. Antonio F. Carl, we watched the Volta in February, most years around 150 cycling, but a few thousand supporting the team. It is impressive, isn't it? And they keep that moving. The police go ahead and the TV people, it's incredible. Jackie's here as well. Bon dia, Gumpers. What a lovely way to start the week. And that is not an impressive scar. Do you know, when I went over, T-Duck, I thought of you, and I was thinking to myself, any minute now, I'm going to feel blood run into my eye and down my face. But it didn't happen.
Then you have to scream some bold movie. Ah!
Or fight.
Whatever. Just something that says,
or even, no. That's like,
there you go. Then with the rim shot. Ba-doom-boom.
It's like, thank you very much, everybody. But no,
exactly.
T-Duck does have a very impressive scar. Chicks like scars. Good morning, Carl, James, and Portugal. How about that's a big welcome? That's a big welcome. But don't forget, Cordelia's meetup is happening Tuesday afternoon. I think it kicks off at 5. Feel free to put the details in the chat there, Cordelia. Your networking, business networking, and not just business, but people getting to know each other here on the Silver Coast. That's happening on Tuesday. New YouTube channel, possibly. Dog Food Dangers.
Ooh, sounds like a great title.
Now on YouTube. Gemini is also here. Good morning to you. And yes, Cordelia is saying those local buses are confusing. Now, I think you're absolutely right, James. That's the takeaway this morning from you, I think, is it can be a little bit confusing and scary getting on the buses. And it sounds like you've adopted the same strategy I picked up when I was in Lisbon. It's just to get on anywhere and see what happens.
Well, not quite that random, but yeah, stay on the same one, figuring it'll eventually get where you need to go.
Yes, and I would do that, though. I would think, well, what's the worst thing that can happen? I'll end up on the other side of Lisbon, and then I'll get the same bus back. And there doesn't seem to be a rule necessarily, does it? You think you're getting on a bus that's taking you somewhere that you're familiar with, and then it goes a different route, or there might be a little asterisk or a slight like a notice in the window that says this is not the normal route. But we didn't know that as foreigners, do we? We can't necessarily discern that.
Yep, I jumped on a bus on a very windy, rainy night, not knowing where I was going, and
sorry, you got to do it in a blues song style. Come on.
The app that I was using had me walk, I don't know, about 500 meters to catch the bus that I thought I needed to catch. Turned out that bus went exactly back to where I had walked from. So
I've got those catching the wrong bus.
Just stayed there. And then I did my best to speak Portuguese. The bus driver was clear. He didn't speak any English, but he just motioned me on the bus because I got a sense he knew where I was headed, but I didn't know where I was headed. So the entire bus ride that ended up in a very familiar bus stop in Mafra, but was not indicated on the map. So I thought I could have ended up, I don't know, some in the middle of nowhere on that bus, and ended up right somewhere that was very familiar, but then had to wait about 45 minutes in the wind and rain for my connection home. But I got home. That's the key takeaway there.
And we aren't the only ones, I don't think, are we, who do this. Cordelia's with us on this as well.
That might be a great motto for especially new immigrants. Be ready for the adventure.
Yes, just get on the bus. I mean,
be ready for the adventure.
It's a great metaphor, isn't it? Just get on the bus of life, wherever it might be headed. Yatra is with us this morning. Good morning to you, Yatra. Hola, bon dia. Antonio will look after you. And Jackie will make you a cuppa as well. Bon dia from Bilbao, Spain this morning from the Bartons. Quick check-in as we're on a week-long road trip. Lovely, fantastic. Chair Qigong is nice if you can't walk a lot for a movement break. Who doesn't like a movement break? That's probably also in California law, isn't it? You're allowed to go and have a movement if necessarily.
Yeah, I don't think anyone would say you can't go if you say you need to go.
Nobody wants somebody staying in the office if they're
I don't know if it's a law, but I never had an experience where it said, nope. The break doesn't come up for you just had your break. I'm sorry.
Yes.
You should have done it then.
Do it in your own time. Do it in your own time, not in our time.
Okay. Right while I stand here then. It's my time, man.
There's some good YouTube bits I've had to adapt due to a need. Speaking from personal experience there, Cordelia. Good to have you along this morning. Couve. There you go for the cabbage as well. Very good. You call them Culver. I said you call them spring onions. Scallions. There you go. Stewed rhubarb, then custard. Okay, it's Tuesday. See what we did there. Okay, and Paris coming up. The Yermans, the Stubble bike run is in the early planning stages, checking out other people's experiences, inspired by the Volta probably, or Vuelta. We'll start putting together what day rides will be and how many days we'll need first. Very good. Took the wrong bus once. We're definitely not alone with this.
What?
Joined us. Yes.
Good job, man.
Amateur. Yes, and that is the best way to learn the buses here. Just get on one, see what happens. Took the wrong bus once and thought I could take the same for return. You see, it doesn't work like that, does it? But
not always.
Bus was now out of service. It reminds me of the time when I was getting the coach up north. And I got on the coach. I got back on the coach and I looked at the coach next to me. And I thought, those people look a lot like the people who were on my coach that got us this far. I had got on the wrong coach. I was meant to be going to Porto. Luckily, I was able to get off and get on the right one. But it happens. All of this stuff happens here. Had to walk a long way to find the alternate. Or was it all a bad dream? Yes, maybe it was just a bad dream, if you're honest. Vitor is joining us in just a moment, James. You've told us about An Old Guy in Europe, episode 11, I believe.
Yes.
and
Oh, thank you for noticing.
a little bit of bus banter. Is there anything else you wanted to tell us before Vitor joins us?
Well, something came up for me, and I think I can get it in fairly briefly, based on last week, where I had a bit of my rant about why do I need to be informed.
Yes.
And it was the word ideology. I meant to include that in the overall comments I was making, but I've seen a few sort of meme type T-shirts that say, you won't change my ideology with facts or something like that.
Really?
So to me, as part of being informed, I can be the most informed human in the world. And if I'm trying to influence someone to see things the way that I see them based on the facts that I know, and they're stuck in an ideology, it's pointless. Like, just don't even have the conversation. You're not going to change their mind, because their mind isn't based on the facts that are on hand. It's based on their ideology. And not all ideology is bad. It's just sort of a common way of thinking within a culture or a group of people or even an individual. But sometimes that ideology is based on nothing but what I think.
Yes.
And nothing about what's really going on in the world. So that ideology, you're never going to change. So why bother? Again, and that's the primary motivation, I think, for a lot of people who feel they need to be informed, is so that they can go educate people about the truth, I mean, as they know it, and then have made a difference in the world. But you get someone who's anchored in an ideology that's opposed to the facts that you understand.
Yes. It can be a sport. It can be a sport, can't it? Because Doug and I are like that. He does my head in. I mean, and I'm sure I do his in as well. So it's a matter of, I mean, we go at it on Facebook. So I guess if you see it as a sport and not as actually trying to change anybody's point of view, it can be good fun. But totally take on board your point. Thank you very much for that. Yes, ideology. It's a funny old thing, isn't it? And it just seems especially prevalent at the moment. And I suspect Vitor might have something to add to this. Let's bring him on now and see what he has to say. Good morning to you, Senor Costa.
Hello, everyone. So today we're going to be playing Minecraft with a controller. So first
Wrong live stream.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning to you. How are you?
Bon dia.
I think playing Minecraft is your 10 o'clock, isn't it?
No. I've actually been playing Terraria, which is a different one, on Saturdays in Chinese, so I can practice the language.
How is that going, Vitor?
Going pretty well. Actually, very elucidating. I still feel like I'm trying to swim by jumping in the middle of the ocean, but it's protected.
Very good. And did you begin to learn Mandarin as a way of expanding your mind and as a challenge to yourself, or as a practical application as well?
That too, yeah. There are many reasons. Like, and in fact, I have a mentor that, since she said that, I've been even more conscious about this, where whenever she does something, she always does it for at least 3 reasons, right? When it comes to Chinese, there are probably more reasons than that here, why I started learning it. So for one, it's that hardest language in the world. So I always kind of wanted to learn it and all of the characters and whatever. Then there are a ton of Chinese speakers here in Portugal.
Yes.
So it's a language that I could, in real life, find without much difficulty people to talk with. I also love making people feel great. So, here you are people that some of them left their country decades ago. And I think many people here can relate. And, you got to a point where you basically have to speak someone else's language most of your life. It would be nice if someone spoke your language back. Right?
What a lovely idea. And you could do that, couldn't you? Maybe one day in a Chinese shop, you overhear somebody saying, watch that Portuguese guy in aisle 7. He looks like a shoplifter.
Oh, yeah.
And then in Chinese, you could actually say, actually, no.
Exactly.
I am not a shoplifter, and I speak your language, and I'm so glad to make your acquaintance. And what a lovely friendship that could.
Exactly. Yeah. And no offense to English speaking people, but it's like, it's not.
He's about to offend us. He's about to offend us. Come on.
No, it's not too uncommon if you go to a Portuguese person, hey, excuse me, and they're like, oh, I don't speak very good English, and then they proceed to explain everything normally, right?
Yes,
It's
absolutely.
still nice to find someone who can communicate your language, but it's like, imagine if you were Arabic and you found a Portuguese person who spoke Arabic. It's a bit different than if you find a Portuguese person that speaks English, right?
Absolutely.
Or French or Spanish, I guess. But yeah, and it's really fun. It's really engaging. And when I get better at writing, it will make my note taking a lot, take a lot less space.
Yes.
So my notebooks can go a much longer way because it's such a simple language. And yeah, it's really expanding my horizons and learning the culture and how they do things. And it's definitely very interesting.
Well, you seem to me to be all about the expansion and the evolution in the way that some people go to the gym to work on their body. Every time I look at your timeline, there is something on there that references how you're expanding and developing your mind. I think that's what you're all
Yes.
about, right?
And now there is like huge news. I don't know if you saw it or not,
No, go on.
but where did I put that thing? Oh, it's here. Okay.
Here is the big news. The big news is just coming in from an.
I am now a certified business broker.
Hold on a minute. You're going to get the whole screen for this. You are a business broker.
Yes.
Okay. So you can broke businesses by the sound.
Yes.
What does that mean exactly?
So essentially, there are some similarities to kind of real estate, but the business broker is so much more technical, complex, and there's such a higher responsibility in our hands.
Yeah.
Because, when it comes to real estate, and a lot of real estate trainers and coaches and whatever, whether in America or Portugal, they mention, and rightfully so, that the home is one of the most important purchases and sales that people go through.
Yeah.
Because for the majority of people, it's also the single biggest, most expensive thing that they deal with, right?
Yes.
And so there is a lot of importance around it. But a business, for people who do own a business, it's even more so. Because while you can, sell your home, go to another one, the business is the thing that puts bread on your table. And even if you move homes, the business stays, sometimes for decades, right?
Yeah.
And so what happens here, and again, remember when I told you that I do things for more than one reason?
Yes.
Being a business broker now, one of my core values is I like helping people and I like being of service. And the reality is that when it comes to businesses, we're having a problem right now where the baby boomer generation, like 1945, 1960, whatever, they owned about 80% of all businesses. And a lot of them were quote unquote boring businesses, like roofing or tiling or making, I don't know, aluminum frames for construction and stuff along those lines. And they're now at an age of retirement, or maybe some of them may be getting health complications and they need to get out of their business or their company. But their kids, they already have their own lives. Maybe they're in Porto or Lisbon or whatever, and they have better things to do. They don't want to have to deal with a boring roofing company, for example. Right. And so they don't have succession. And they don't know what to do. They don't know who to talk to. They don't know how they can even sell their company. So usually they do one of two things. One, they close down the company and fire everyone.
What a shame.
Two, I've seen some cases where they just ended up giving the company to the employees or whatever. And third, some of them end up talking to real estate agencies to sell a property. Now, I can tell you firsthand, and having worked in several real estate agencies, nobody knows how to sell a business. They don't have training for it. They don't have the knowledge, either technical or whatever. And most importantly of all, they don't understand that a business sale, it's highly important that it is confidential, right? Because let's say you have a restaurant, and everyone here has seen restaurants for sale.
Yep.
online. You go in there, hey, restaurant Senhor Manel for sale. And then, first of all, you have there the price that you don't know how they got to. I don't know if it's a trespass or whatever. Sometimes they don't even say. And then you have the price. And then the description you have, hey, great restaurant, blah, 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 in this location. And it's very nice. And there's a garden outside. And there's some plants. And people like it very much. And it contains, and then it tells you 3 aluminum fridges or, stainless steel or whatever with reference, blah, blah, blah from Bosch. 7 burners. One of them doesn't work. And, 17 counters and 47 chairs and blah, 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 blah. So first of all, to an investor, that means nothing. An investor needs to know if that's making money. If it isn't, they need to know the numbers. And the agents don't even know what numbers are important for a buyer. And again, I'm also talking against myself because until I completed this training, I would probably have done something similar. Okay. But the problem is you can see and the restaurant is for sale. So then you'll go have lunch at the restaurant. The person brings your food and you're like, hey, by the way, why is your boss selling the restaurant again? And she'll be like,
what?
My boss is selling the restaurant?
Yes.
Uh-oh, maybe I should start sending resumes to other places. Yeah. What's going to happen to me?
And the place suddenly takes a change in atmosphere, doesn't it?
And
lots of customers.
And everything starts imploding. And then maybe you won't feel like going there for lunch anymore.
Yeah, right.
Because what's happening here. And the owner is unaware of all of this.
Yep.
The other thing is also corporate and industrial espionage, which there is a lot of.
Yes. Well, that's a competitor restaurants wanting to get the business plan anonymously and then finding out about.
Or imagine, let me give you another example. So let's say you have a factory that makes chairs, right? And you put it
up in the north, don't you? That's a typical business in the north of Portugal.
Yeah, there's a lot of manufacturing, a lot of textile companies around here.
Yeah.
So imagine you put a company like that for sale, either yourself or through a real estate agent or whatever. Again, they don't understand the confidentiality importance. So maybe you can give them a call. Hey, I'm an investor. I'm thinking about buying the property. Can you send me this document and that document, just so I can read the financials and see if it makes sense. And the agent, all excited because they finally have a buyer lead, will go ask the owner, because they don't know what these documents are either, and ask for the documents. And then they'll send it to the person. Thank you very much. I'll take a look.
Yes.
Some of those documents, you have in there every single transaction that the company does.
Yeah.
Who the clients are, how much they pay, how much they owe, how much you pay your suppliers.
Yes.
And then with all of that list, you can call the other company, hey, I may have a list of all of your competition's buyers and sellers and suppliers and stuff. I don't know, 2,000 euros, I might be able to get you a copy. Nothing's stopping me, right?
Nobody would do that, would they? There aren't nasty people
No,
around.
not at all. No. Why would they? Everybody is so nice, especially when it comes to these big levels of activity, right? So what happens is, and a lot of the training I can apply also to real estate, so it's even more professional, even more straightforward. And to give you an idea how the business sale works, very summarized, is send a business proposal, person agrees or rejects, there are retainers in there, and then it's milestone based. So we have about 4 main stages. At the end of each stage, we get a bit more retainer, which is a very symbolic amount, and then we keep progressing from there. So we gather all of the documentation. Everything is done right from the beginning. The accountant probably never had to get half of those documents at the same time. Send it to us. We'll do a teaser. We'll do an anonymous listing online with just the necessary details for the investor to figure out, what's the price, what's the return, what's the cash flow, what's the gross yearly sale volume, and then a few specific details that are important, like financial autonomy, what percentage of clients are companies and how many are, and particulars, right?
I'm loving this, Vitor. This is an extension of your real estate career
is.
into selling businesses as well. And I'm very surprised. Well, actually, I'm not surprised. It's just I didn't know. I hadn't thought about this before, and I suspect you wouldn't have, James, either. But this sort of baby boomer business idea, the old businesses that have been created over years might die on the vine because the
Yes.
kids don't want to do it anymore.
And
what a
nobody knows how
shame.
to sell them either.
Right. So they would just perish out of a lack of expertise and support.
Exactly. And in fact, last year I got 2 people before I even started the business broker training, and I had already been reading up on this, and I was already being aware of the baby boomer situation. I've had 2 people contact me because they had companies for sale that they didn't know what to do with them.
Yep.
So, and then, as we go through that process, when we finally get a buyer that's interested, we just share with them that vague, anonymous information. If they want to know more, they must sign an NDA.
Yes, as Stephen's saying it, NDAs. I know what that is, a non-disclosure agreement. What's an NCA? No chocolate agreement?
Non-compete agreement.
Oh, non-compete, right. Okay, yes.
That's when it comes to the close, right?
Yes.
When we're making the letter of intent, whatever the final agreement,
there
should be non-compete clauses. Because again, let's say you had that share company, you sell shares for 100 euros to a supplier or whatever. If you don't have a non-compete clause and you sell that company, nothing's stopping you from opening another company next door, another factory. You call the same sellers, hey, I can get you the same shares for 95 euros.
Yes, which I suspect somebody did once upon a time, and that's how the non-compete agreement got born. Yes.
Probably,
yes.
yeah. So
people leaving companies with company information and
then,
taking those skills or that information to them. It's all just protecting your personal or business investment in something is important.
Very interesting. Now, from a foreigner expat point of view, and I think Cordelia will be interested in this. She of the Silver Coast Professionals. I think Cordelia, you run a valuation service as well. And this is your event that's coming up tomorrow on the Silver Coast. Meet and mingle, Carl Munson. Life is beautiful because of the people we meet. A Simon Sinek quote there. And Courtain Organic Wines also sponsoring. You can go to that. And then you can go to Heather's Do afterwards at Tiger Buddy. You can have a wonderful evening in Caldas tomorrow of networking and socializing. But if somebody's coming over to Portugal and they fancy putting some of their investment fund, take something out of savings perhaps and invest in a local Portuguese business. Actually, I know someone who did that here in San Martino de Porto very successfully. They might consider this. They might look at a business opportunity and help a Portuguese business stay in business.
Yes, and on that note, Golden Visa stopped for residential properties, but you can still get Golden Visa through merger or acquisition. So we can also represent people who want to buy companies. And if we find a company that's at least 500,000 euros in the investment and has at least 5 employees, then that would be Golden Visa eligible. Okay. And in certain situations, those 500,000 can actually be called what's the name? Suprimento in Portuguese, which means it's kind of like a loan from the owner to the company. So even if a company is worth like 200,000, in some cases the buyer can actually, put 500,000 in the company. And then after a year, they can actually get that money back at no tax.
Yes, very good. And you'll be able to help structure that as well.
Absolutely.
How exciting is this, Vitor? I mean, I remember when we first started talking, you were helping people, weren't you? You were helping people to go buy axes when they arrived in Portugal a couple of years ago. And now... this is incredible. You've gone from real estate and helping people and being a buyer's agent and a helper, a Sherpa in Portugal, into being a buyer's broker. And I'm seeing how, like extending that into the future, how you might be the guy who helped so many foreigners and Portuguese people, of course, because this is, this what you're talking about is entirely intermingled if those sorts of deals are done. as an amazing, in 20 years' time, 30 years' time, somebody whose finger was in many pies of investment and development and saving businesses that would have otherwise have gone to the wayside. So I'm looking forward to that. I think that's fantastic, Vitor.
Yep. And by the way, this thing right here, ever since I read this book, which was what started this whole thing.
The 10 times one.
No. The Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Oh, Rich Dad Poor Dad. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So I've always been, that's what gave me like a goal and everything. And yes. I've always had this thing that, okay, one day I'll be in the business like field. Business is where I'll want to be and thrive. And lo and behold, here we are.
But it takes time.
This opportunity for the business. Yeah.
Yes, it takes time. This is what this is a lesson I've had to learn in life as well. Just because you have an idea and want to do it real bad doesn't mean it's going to happen anytime soon, does it?
Yes.
And fair play to you. You have been chugging away, and we've watched this happen, and you stayed dedicated to this task. So well done, you. Make sure you read.
I'd love to add one piece that I remember hearing. Vitor said when he started learning Chinese, it speaks to the man himself, not just the businesses. Mm-hmm. And that is, he said, one of the reasons that he wanted to learn a new language and a challenging language was so that he could relate to all the immigrants in Portugal who are trying to learn Portuguese and really get a feel for what it's like to learn a new language from nothing. Yeah. And that speaks to empathy and compassion as well, which is equally important, if not more important, than all the other business knowledge and education and training. So I just wanted to acknowledge that piece.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, James. And I would second that as well. Yeah. That's why we love this man. Fantastic. If you are looking for a business idea as well, I've got a couple of things I wanted to share, and also some lovely video and stills from the Vienna festival that's going on at the moment from John. And then we'll finish with some singing, because we need to celebrate Maria's birthday, of course, your wife Maria's birthday, Katia Lima's birthday, and Coach Turner, all celebrating their birthday today.
And yesterday was my dad.
And yesterday was your dad. That's right. I did send him birthday greetings. This, I think, is a very good import idea. Now, for those expats, foreigners, immigrants who need a snooze in the afternoon, if you wear this all day, you can just crash out at any moment. Look at that. Isn't that fantastic? I think that deserves a little bit of investment to bring.
And if there's any weight to it, you get an extra workout carrying it around everywhere you go.
I don't want to see that in summer.
That's true. They'll have to come up with a special Portuguese lightweight edition, won't they? Which would just, I don't know. I'm sure there's a brilliant mind out there that can deal with the weather, the hot weather, and the need for a snooze at any moment in the supermarket. You just crash out anywhere with this thing. Hard to get in and out of the car. You'll have to get a bigger car, possibly.
We'll see if it sticks.
This for you, James, as well. The voices of the self. I thought we might be able to shoehorn this in, talking to you this morning on Mindful Migration Monday. The voices of the self, the mind, the endless chatter to fill up space. I think a few of us, all of us will be familiar with that, right? The ego in there, in the mix, constantly looking to prove itself. Not that any of these are better than the others. It's all complementary, isn't it? The inner child is in there looking for validation constantly as well. And the soul, the quiet clarity that goes almost unnoticed, apart from when we mention it on a Monday morning with Mindful Migration. So I'll send that to you after the show as well, James. I thought you might quite like that. And stills on 913-590-303. These fabulous pictures with the filigree gold. This is fantastic, isn't it? This is not the Agonias. This is, I think, a different festival John was talking about. Thank you very much, John. Do you recognize this one, Vitor?
Not sure.
He said, Desvio de Belos Trajes. And I don't know what that translates as specifically. And you might not either because of my pronunciation. This is fantastic. Love the local outfits. And here's a little bit of video as well before we sing happy birthday to Maria, Katia, and to Coach Ian Turner this morning. Beautiful. Absolutely lovely. Thank you very much, John, for that. That's just so Portuguese right there, isn't it? Such a brilliant northern Portuguese vignette, I would say. Right. Coach Turner first then. If you want to sign up for Coach Turner's God Squad tip of the day, well, you can get his tip of the day here, and you can sign up for the course itself over on the Portugal Club. I'll just give you a quick I'm going to work my way through the offers that these lovely birthday people have this morning.
And that's no charge, Carl, as I understand it.
That one you would join the Portugal Club, and that's part of that's included.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah, all right. So thank you very much for that question, James. Also, if you go over to Beyond Lisbon, the blog by Katia Lima, how about buying her a coffee today? If you've ever found her work helpful and educational, you might like to reward her with a coffee today. And you can do that on the link that I'm about to put into the chat.
Or several.
Or several, yeah. You're not limited to buying just the one coffee, I don't think. So there you go. There's the link for doing so. And let me share the blog so that you can see that just briefly. You may remember going here, where most recently, I think, there was a blog about kissing and hugging with Portuguese people and how to approach that, whether it's the one kiss, the two kisses, the three kisses, and a hug or not. She writes about such brilliant Portuguese cultural matters. And last but certainly not least, and to whom we'll be singing happy birthday in Portuguese, led by Vitor this morning, it's Maria. And if you would like to join Maria's Portuguese Allies Learning Portuguese course, you can do that as well. And I'll put the link up for that too, so that you can do that. How's that going over there on the Learning Portuguese, European Portuguese with you and Maria, Vitor?
It's going really well, but again, she's the one at the helm of that ship.
Right.
This week, of course, slowed down a little bit, as well as the other week that I spent the whole time in Porto, just finishing the training for the brokerage. But it's going well. We still are not at the self-sufficiency stage.
Right.
So we still need about, I think, a few paid members, so that we can be self-sufficient, because right now the skill community is an expense to us.
Yes.
But I can tell you that we had a very, very generous past client that donated 300 euros for us to keep it running for a while.
Oh, fantastic.
So really appreciative for that.
Excellent. Okay. Yes, if anyone wants to give Maria a gift, that's where you sign up there on her birthday.
More coffees.
I'm sure she would be delighted. Well, you actually sign up for this course, and you're not just buying her a birthday gift. You're getting a gift yourself of learning Portuguese.
Yeah, exactly.
In the way that only Vitor and Maria know how to teach, which is a fantastic way. Their videos are fabulous, and you'll be able to access those there. So that's the link for doing so. Please sign up to that.
Yep.
You'll be
serving people is a great gift to us.
It is, isn't it? Right. So let's sing happy birthday to those three people, Maria and to Katia and to Coach Turner. The lyrics are going to go onto the screen now. Are you in a good voice for this, James?
I'll do my best.
So there are several people here. In Portuguese, you kind of have to know the names before you sing the happy birthday.
Oh, okay. So Maria, Katia, Ian. What's Ian in Portuguese, do we think?
So,
Ian.
I mean, no, I'm just thinking, because usually when it's
Ian,
several people that it's their birthday, you actually sing it several different times, one with each person's name.
Okay. Well, that'll give us a nice lot of practice. Should we do Ian first?
Okay, I guess.
You're not happy about this, are you? Do you not?
No, I never sing happy birthday. I'm always the guy in the background clapping out of tune and...
Well, that's what it's like for us, because we don't know the words, so we do that as well. So we can't all do that. We're all going to have to.
So as everybody is singing, I'm just like, parabéns a você, parabéns a
you do it like a foreigner. That's exactly
right.
what I do. Do you do that, James, as well?
Yes.
Well, mine is more.
Okay, let's try it. Here we go. They're on the screen. Parabéns a você. Neste data
querida, muita felicidade, hoje é dia de festa, cantam as nossas almas para o menino Ian, uma salva de palmas. Hey!
Are we not singing the lyrics at the same time? Because we were all singing to
like what a cacophony.
Lag, latency. I'm probably getting your messaging like 0.3 seconds after you say it. So yeah,
that went very badly then.
Carl, I'm getting visions of those science fiction films when a poisonous gas comes into a room and everyone starts running away and dying.
And now Katja, parabéns a você, esta data querida, muitas felicidades, muitos anos de vida, muitas linhas de festa, nossas almas para
Fast.
That was markedly better.
Chegou Maria.
And now Maria, okay.
Parabéns a você, esta data querida, muitas felicidades, muitos anos de vida, hoje é dia de festa, cantam as nossas almas, a menina Maria, uma salva de palmas. And now for everyone, tenham todos contem, tenham muita saúde e amigos também. Eles hoje fazem anos porque Deus assim quis, porque nós desejamos é que seja feliz. No, okay.
Again.
All right. Very good, very good. Stephen White, the last comment here. Make sure you read Money People Deal. And congratulations, Vitor, on your new certification as a Portuguese business broker. It's fantastic. Stefan Arnio was my mentor, and his mentor was Robert Kiyosaki. Very good, Steve. And is there a Portuguese certification for business brokers? You've just got it, haven't you? That's what you've been talking about, Vitor.
Yeah. So
yes,
this is. So just to give you an idea, this guy has over 12 years of experience doing this. And from what I could tell from him, he actually had offers to work at the big 5 companies, getting like 200,000 a year, and he refused it. Essentially, what happens is that there are people who do this in Portugal, but usually they only care about companies 50 million in sales or more. Those are the so-called big 5 that they send a letter to your accountant, and your accountant won't even read it. They'll just sign it off. So from 10 million to 50 million, give or take, there are, investment funds or whatever that can also take care of it. But companies between 100,000 and 10 million in sales volume, they barely have no representation. There may be some real estate agencies for the smaller ones, like under 300,000, but all of those make up 96% of Portuguese companies. To give you an idea, micro, small, and medium companies make up for 40%. The micro companies make up 40% of Portuguese employment, and 20% of the GDP.
Yeah,
and
very important. They need
nobody helps them.
Nobody. I think you're right. It's an uphill struggle a lot of the time, isn't it?
Yes.
And what a shame. After a business has been created, and it's taken a long time to do that, and they've stood the test of time, for a family business like that to go out of business is a terrible shame. So let's do what we can.
Yes, and also, like, and I know we're a bit over our mark, but this is important to say. A lot of people talk to me wanting to come here on a D2 visa.
Yeah,
and it's exactly as you said. You can come here and start your own company.
Yes,
but I've started a company. It's a uphill struggle, and you probably did as well. You know how it is
in that process.
You can instead buy a company that is already working, already has clients, already has branding, is already established, and you can go from there. And then another thing is the financing part, because through this brokerage, we do corporate financing, which most people don't do either, because credit mediators don't get paid for company loans. But we have ways of doing that. We can do seller financing. We can do potentially earnouts. I've seen cases where people bought companies at 0% down, just repaying the seller with the company profits. That is possible. Doesn't happen. Really? Maybe it won't happen in every case. Okay, and of course, it's
a creative possibility. Very good.
But it exists. Yeah.
Vitor, congratulations. God bless you, mate. You're doing a great job. Keep up the good work. And you, James, see you again next Monday. Take care, everybody. Have a great week. Bye for now. See you tomorrow. Ciao, ciao.
Ciao.
Bom dia, Portugal. In Portugal, there's a YouTube show. full of fun facts you need to know. Carl rings the bell and the members show to the GMP morning show. Featured guests will come and they will blow your mind. The audience will do so in kind. The little vanity mixed with some insanity on the morning show with GMP.
Good morning, Portugal, and I'd like to welcome you to another fantastic day.
Hey, Gumpers.